Good evening and welcome to another installment of the New York Minute Sports Show. It's the AL East Report and the Yankees Red Sox preview with Ken Rosenthal. It's New York Minute Sports. It's New York Sports for New York Nuts. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's go!
It's New York Minute Sports.
Well, there you have it, folks. Welcome to another installment of the New York Minute Sports Show. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Well, we got the big start to a big series this week. We got the Red Sox and the New York Yankees up in Beantown. And it's been a tale of two cities for the Red Sox and the Yankees to start off the 2026 season. Now, the Boston Red Sox were always going to have problems hitting. And guess what? They're having problems hitting. But they could always rely on their pitching and their ace, Crochet, who has been getting lit up lately. By the way, my early pick for Cy Young of the AL, which I still think he can turn it around. But then, yesterday in Beantown, on Patriots Day, Sonny Gray goes down with an injury. Their big offseason acquisition. They let Bregman walk out the door, and they brought in Sonny Gray, who I was worried about being able to handle the pressure of Boston, because the pressure of New York is one thing, but in Boston, you have about 5 to 6 states that are all Red Sox fans. Your mailman's a Red Sox fan. Your banker's a Red Sox fan, and you're going to hear it. Speaking of Red Sox fans, another thing I didn't like to hear was about the death threats to Cam Schlittler. This is when you need to pump your brakes as a baseball fan. Guys, at the end of the day, it's just a game. I get crazy on here. I get worked up. I get emotional. I get mad. But guess what? It would never come to that, and it shouldn't come to that. That's the double-edged sword of social media, and that's why I got into a tit-for-tat with JAYS Chisholm last year on social media, and the whole point was you shouldn't be talking to me. So Cam Schlittler, if you don't know the story, has been getting death threats to his family and to himself from the residents of the Massachusetts area, because if you know, Cam Schlittler grew up a Red Sox fan. Guess what? This just adds more fuel to the fire of a kid with a bulldog mentality, and the Boston Red Sox fans are screwing themselves. You know why? Because in 5 years, Cam Schlittler is going to reach free agency, and I wake up in cold sweats in the middle of the night thinking that he is going to leave the New York Yankees for the Boston Red Sox when he becomes a free agent to complete his story as a childhood dream. But now, after the way that they've conducted themselves, I don't think Cam Schlittler will ever grab the ball for the Boston Red Sox when he becomes a free agent. So be careful what you wish for, Red Sox fans. You might just get it. But what I'm worried about tonight going into this series is that Aaron Baboon Bubbles Buffoon, whoa, gets outcoached every time he gets across the diamond from Alex Cora. It's a fact. Aaron Baboon is 15 games below 500 in the AL East as a manager because Kevin Cash and Cora walk over into the dugout and eat his lunch every single time. But now the New York Yankees are looking better since they just swept the Kansas City Royals. But I think that's a little bit of fool's gold because the New York Yankees have owned the Royals for a decade. This is the true test now. Up in Beantown, when the Yankees and the Red Sox get together, all bets are off, folks. And you know what? It makes for some great baseball. Going to be chilly up in Boston tonight. How is our 50-50 Prince? And get your 50-50 Jazz shirts. By the way, they are real at the New York Nuts store. The 50-50 raffle Jazz shirt because he predicted 50 home runs and 50 steals. And now he might get 50 steals if he decides to get on base, but he's getting nowhere near 50 home runs. And the pressure is getting on him with every game without a home run. So he's going to need to turn it on in Beantown. The New York Yankees are third in baseball in home runs behind the Angels and the Dodgers, and it helped the Angels playing in the Bronx against the Yankees with all those balls flying out, the Goldilocks balls. But now the New York Yankees are third in home runs, and Jazz hasn't hit a single one. So the pitching probables tonight, Luis Gil, Connolly Early goes tonight, the left-hander for the Boston Red Sox. Gil has been struggling in the beginning of the season, but you know what? He is lights out up in Boston. Game 2, Max Fried, Ranger Suarez, two left-handers going at it. Boston Red Sox are throwing left-handers in the first 2 games. That's the way that you remedy the New York Yankees, but we have our stopper, Max Fried, going. Great pitching matchup on Wednesday night. Then we got Cam Schlittler and Bello, and Bello does pitch well against the New York Yankees, and Cam Schlittler owns the Boston Red Sox. So it's going to be a good series, guys. I want to check in with my Toronto Blue Jays fans. How are you guys doing? I hope you're keeping the faith here. I hope that you're hanging out in last place, but you know what? With all the injuries that you guys have had, I know you've been in purgatory, but Vlad Jr. is carrying your team right now. Okay, he just went 3 for 4 with a home run and 2 RBIs. He's got a hitting streak of 11 games, all right? But the problem with the Blue Jays, aside from their injuries, is the inconsistent starting. You got Dylan C striking out 12 guys, and then you got Mad Max letting up 8 runs. Then you got injuries and underperformance. Like I said, the injuries to Springer, Vasho came in with legit expectations this season. But guess what? The AL East, the team in last place, the Boston Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays, are only 4 games back. All it takes is one good series in the AL East, and you could be in second or first place in 3 days. So that's why you need to hit that like, hit that subscribe, and hit that notification button, because I'm going to be carrying it all year long. I'm going to be covering the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, and the New York Yankees whenever they get playing against each other, and have it right here on your AL East report. But let's check in with our old friend, Ken Rosenthal, over at Foul Territory, and he's got his little report, and we haven't watched him in a while. So let's go check in with Ken Rosenthal over at Foul Territory.
Monday edition of Fair Territory, also known this week as the pregame show for the Patriots Day game in Boston. That game starts at 11:10 Eastern. Hope everyone enjoys the early start for that one. And it's interesting we talk about the Red Sox at the top of the show, because we're going to get into the Red Sox really quickly. And just to say overall, people always ask me, hey man, do you ever get tired of covering baseball? You've been doing it for so long. The answer to that is an unequivocal no. And the reason I never get tired of covering baseball is because it is endlessly fascinating, endlessly interesting, and endlessly different. And it's the reason most fans like enjoying the game as well. And
I totally agree. And John Sterling used to say it the best on the Yankees broadcast. You know, the difference between football is in baseball, Susan, there's a new pitcher every single day. And in fact, you can see 6 pitchers holding the ball at one point during a game, where a quarterback is the only one controlling the ball on offense. And he brings up a good point, because every single night it was panic before the Royals series, and now the New York Yankees look like they've righted the ship. So it changes every single night. And people ask me, how do you do it? How do you do a Yankees postgame show every single night on New York Minute Sports? It's because I love it. And not to mention, who would I talk about with this? If I didn't have you guys here on New York Minute Sports, my head would explode.
Following it year after year. And here is why I mentioned this at the top of the show. We have 2 pitchers who were among the most dominant in the game last season, Garrett Crochet and Edwin Diaz. And the question we ask at the top of the show today is, okay, which one is the bigger concern? Crochet was coming off yesterday his worst start probably in his whole career. Remember that game against Minnesota? 10 earned runs in an inning and 2/3. There it is. And he pitched for the most part yesterday better, at least at the start against Detroit. He said it was the best he's felt all year. And he was cruising early until the 5th inning, when he went home run, walk, intentional walk, home run with 2 outs. 2 outs in the 5th. So you ask, okay, is something up with Crochet? It doesn't appear to me that that is the case, simply because he was so good for the first 4 2/3 in this game. Edwin Diaz, on the other hand, with the Dodgers, that might be a different story. And it's certainly one worth checking into over the next few days, or at least monitoring from the outside.
I picked Garrett Crochet to be my Cy Young Award winner out of the American League this year. And Boston Red Sox fans, let me know how you're feeling in the comments section, because if it was anything, even the rough start with the Boston Red Sox, and you can deal with injuries. The one thing as a Red Sox fan that you can count on was that Crochet is going to be your lights out ace. And now when you see starts like this from him, are you worried about him this early in the year? Because I know you're worried about the whole team right now, but your ace looks like he's not pitching well. And I don't know if it's just early in the season, he's hurt, or did he just lose something? Because with Diaz is a different case. I've gotten to see Diaz play for the Mets living here in New York for these past years, and it seems like he never starts well. And I hear every single year with Diaz is, has he lost it this year? Look at his ERA. It's a 9, it's 11. Can't close any games out. That's usually in the beginning of the season. And on the tail end of him coming back from his injury with the Mets, he finally righted the ship and was one of the most effective closers in all of baseball.
Here's why. He pitched yesterday in Colorado. He had 9 days between appearances. 3 hits, 3 runs without recording an out. And the bigger concern, because that can happen, especially in a non-save situation.
Yeah, but in a non-safe situation, first of all, and then he just answered his own question there. Nice face, by the way. When you have 9 days off and you're a closer, you're going to have ring rust. The same thing happens with Bednar. Bednar is rolling on the New York Yankees when he pitches 2 to 3 nights in a row, or when he gets to go for about 5 to 6 outs for a save. If Diaz needs to pitch every 2 days to keep it going, and he's an older guy too, you got to keep that momentum going. So if you rest for 9 days, obviously you're going to have a major blip in the radar when you get on the bump.
The bigger concern, but the Red Sox clearly need him. Alex Cora has said repeatedly, we have to pitch. Right now they're 8-13. They're tied with Toronto for the last spot in the AL East, tied for last place in the AL East. Not going too well for Boston. They need a win on Patriots Day, to say the least. Now, their big rival, the New York Yankees, coming off a big weekend. And I was just talking about how teams and players can go through ruts. The Yankees went through a little rut earlier this month, 5-game losing streak to the Athletics, to Tampa Bay, during which they scored 13 runs in those 5 games. Oh my gosh, what's happening to this offense? Well, the bottom of the order is still not exactly what you would want, to quote Joe Girardi, but this team is going to hit home runs, and we saw it over the weekend. My goodness. Yeah, you see, that's how you close out a homestand. The Yankees, in this series against the Royals, 9 home runs in 3 games. You go back to the last 2 games against the Los Angeles Angels, that's 13 home runs in 5 games. Judge now with 9. Ben Rice, their next star, if he's...
Yeah, but I like the version of the New York Yankees that you saw during the 8-2 Yankees. I like the New York Yankees who score 6 runs. They don't hit any home runs. They play small ball. They move runners over, because in the beginning of the season, when they were 8-2, they were making runners move. They were stealing bases. They were hitting ground balls. They were having good outs. See, but the home runs with the New York Yankees always worries me. It seems like they came out of the chute this year when they were 8-2, playing a different style of ball. You know, hit and run from third base, laying down bunts, sacrifice flies, productive outs from the bottom half of the lineup. And they went 8-2. And it seems like they got home, they threw that plan right out the window, and they started swinging from their heels because they know that they're in Yankee Stadium, and they started relying on the long ball. I don't think that you can take too much assurance in that Kansas City Royals series, because the New York Yankees absolutely owned, signed, sealed, and delivered the Kansas City Royals this year. And for the last decade, they've owned the Kansas City Royals. So tonight will be the test up in Boston. And that's the crazy thing about the AL East division. God forbid, let's say the Beantown Bums sweep, which they won't, my New York Yankees this week. Then they're only 1 game out of first place. Now the trajectory of the AL East and the prediction of the AL East is up in the air after 3 games up in Beantown. So don't forget to hit your notification, like, and subscribe. Let's go back to Ken.
Not a star already. 8 home runs on the season. So the Yankees offense, when it is clicking and has this kind of potency, it's going to be really impressive. And I want to show you the home run leaders in the sport. Here's Chris Kirschner. Ben Rice is so good. Cannot believe some people didn't think he could repeat his production from last season. He's in even better now. Amen to what Chris is saying. Now, as for the home run leaders in the sport, this is interesting. All right, the Dodgers up with 37. The Angels with 34. Mike.
Well, it helps when Mike Trout hits about 28 home runs in Yankee Stadium. And not to mention, the New York Yankees started their season in the beginning of the year against the San Francisco Giants and the Seattle Mariners, two of the largest ballparks and pitcher-friendly parks in Major League Baseball. So that's what kind of delayed also the home run hitting for the New York Yankees. But look at that list. The Dodgers, the Angels, the Yankees, the San Francisco Giants are in last, big ballpark, and the Boston Red Sox. This was the problem with the Boston Red Sox. They didn't know where the offensive production was going to come from. They were supposed to retain Bregman. Who knows what happened with that? They let Devers walk out the window. The front office is an absolute mess. The fans hate the owner because he's too busy with Liverpool or the European football team that he owns. And the Boston Red Sox are a mess. But it can correct it with a series win against the New York Yankees this week, because the one thing I'm worried about is not that the way that the Red Sox are playing. I'm worried about the fact that every time you go to Fenway, all bets are off in a Yankees and Red Sox series. And not to mention, Aaron Baboon, Bubbles, Buffoon, whoa, gets outcoached by Cora every time they're across from each other. And don't give me the playoffs last year. He didn't outcoach Cora in that one. The Yankees beat them. The players beat them. But every time, and not to mention, Baboon is about 21 games under 500 in his career against the AL East. So it's going to be a great game tonight. Can't wait.
Trout, a big part of that. There are the Yankees with 32, Judge and Rice with 17 of those. And then at the bottom, the San Francisco Giants and the Red Sox, we were just discussing them, with 13 each. So clearly the Red Sox power deficiency is showing up early. The Yankees are doing what the Yankees do. One more hot team I want to mention. Actually, we've got a number of hot teams to mention, but this one is not in the other category that we're going to deal with. This one is the San Diego Padres.
Just by the way, had the second best record in Major League Baseball, and I really got a scolding when I was doing my predictions for the rest of the season, and I said the Padres against the Detroit Tigers in the World Series. Everyone said I was out of my mind. I guess they're not looking so bad now. And with the new owner coming in, that kind of definitely dashes the hopes of getting Fernando Tatis Jr. I said that in February that I wanted them to package up a deal for Fernando Tatis Jr., name the price, we'll give it to you. And he's been playing second base for the Padres. I thought that was going to be some kind of deal for Jazz Chisholm. And another thing that's a little surprising is that the New York Yankees are third in home runs, and still Jazz Chisholm doesn't have any home runs. Doesn't have any home runs.
Just sold over the weekend for $3.9 billion. And more to the point, as far as on the field is concerned, they've won 10 of 11. 13 of 15, and Mason Miller, my goodness.
All right, so let's take a look at the standings right here. We got the Yankees in first, Tampa Bay Rays in second, Baltimore Orioles, Toronto Blue Jays, and the Boston Red Sox. Now let's check out who they're playing this week. Obviously, the Boston Red Sox are playing the New York Yankees this week. Baltimore takes on Kansas City. They had a great game last night. Toronto takes on the much improved Anaheim Angels. Be careful with them. They're a sneaky team. We saw that in the Bronx this week. And the Tampa Bay Rays are playing the Cincinnati Reds. So like I said, even after all the tumultuous starts from the Red Sox, all the injuries from the Toronto Blue Jays, the inconsistent play from the Baltimore Orioles, the lack of hitting for the Tampa Bay Rays in defense, and the Yankees relying on the old home run and home cooking with the Kansas City Royals coming to town, this division is tight, and it's going to be a barn burner this year. So don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification button, and also visit the New York Minute merch store. That's that beautiful blue link you see underneath that video. We have the AL Least line. Get your Snorrials, get your Blow Jays, get a Stanky shirt while you're at it. How about a Roofless Rays shirt or a Beantown Bum shirt? You can check it all out on the New York Nuts merch line, and it's that beautiful blue line. And remember, if you can't be good, Be bad, baby. Good night, Canada. Bye.